The world often echoes with pronouncements about the supposed disadvantages of growing up with a single parent. Yet, I find myself utterly bewildered by these claims, unable to reconcile them with my own experience. I am, by definition, one of those unfortunate victims, but the narrative of misfortune simply doesn't resonate with me. In my situation, my parents' separation was a matter of irreconcilable differences. Custody was never a concern. I'm 20 years old and nearing the completion of my degree at the local university. A significant factor in their divorce was my mother's greater professional success, a reality my father, with his traditional views, struggled to accept. While I'm certain other tensions contributed to their parting, the disparity in their careers was undeniably a major catalyst. It certainly wasn't a reflection of my mother's appeal. She might not have been a model, but any man with good sense would recognize her charm and allure. Regardless, all of this unfolded over 3 years ago, and in hindsight, it truly was for the best. My father eventually married his secretary, legitimizing their long-standing affair. They now have a daughter, and he's back to the familiar routines of fatherhood, changing diapers and embracing all that entails. My mother, on the other hand, has found more time to dedicate to her personal well-being, and the transformation is remarkable. We each pursue our own paths, yet we share a comfortable, understanding relationship, as compatible as a mother and son can be under the circumstances. Tonight serves as a perfect illustration. Mom had a dinner engagement with business associates, while I, a typical young man with a restless spirit, spent my evening in pursuit of youthful adventures, albeit without much success. It was nearing 11 o'clock when I pulled into our driveway, noticing lights on upstairs. I naturally assumed Mom had also concluded her evening. As I reached the top of the stairs, a soft, melodic hum drifted from her room. The light was on, and the door stood slightly ajar. It would have felt impolite to retire for the night without bidding my mother good night, so I quietly approached the open doorway. No one was immediately visible, but the bed covers were invitingly turned back. "Mom," I called out softly, a hint of concern in my voice. "Are you all right?" "Well, hello there," she replied, her tone bright and cheerful, though I instantly detected the subtle influence of an evening spent with spirits. "Come in here and talk to your poor, neglected mother, darling. I'm perfectly presentable, so don't be shy." I eased closer, peering cautiously around the corner. Mom was luxuriating in the bathtub, a generous cloud of bubbles rising to her chin. Her hair was casually gathered, and her bathrobe was nowhere in sight. When she noticed me peeking, her face lit up with a radiant smile. She shifted slightly in the water, her form momentarily rising beneath the frothy shield of bubbles. While the bubbles offered a decent cover from casual glances, they did little to obscure the heightened awareness of a young man who had just settled onto the toilet lid beside the tub. I couldn't help but notice the subtle glow of her skin beneath the foam, a captivating sight that stirred a profound sense of admiration within me. Despite the familial bond, a powerful surge of masculine appreciation began to stir within me. I subtly pressed my legs closer together, hoping to conceal my growing reaction, and for the moment, I believed my efforts were successful. "It looks like you're thoroughly enjoying yourself, ma'am," I remarked, a playful glint in my eye. "I thought you stopped calling me ma'am years ago, mister," she countered, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Did you have a particularly trying day at the office?" I inquired. "The office part wasn't too bad," she sighed, "but enduring 3 stuffy executives through dinner and a few drinks was quite tiresome. This bathwater is as hot as I can possibly stand it, and it's proving to be wonderfully therapeutic." "Feel," she offered, gently moving her leg to create space for my hand. I didn't doubt her words for a moment, but having been raised to respect my parents, I gently dipped my hand into the water. I flinched slightly at the immediate contact. It was almost uncomfortably hot. "Wow, that's incredibly warm, Mom." "I told you," she said, seeming pleased that the water's temperature had captured my attention so effectively. "Since you're here, why don't you wash my back? It's been a long time since anyone has done that for me." She turned on a charm I hadn't realized she possessed. "Please." "I wouldn't want to spoil you, lady," I teased, kneeling beside the tub. "This could become a habit." "Oh, please spoil me. It feels like nobody loves me anymore," she said, resting her chin on her forearms, which were crossed from knee to knee, feigning a pout for sympathy. "I love you, Mom. I always have," I reassured her. "Oh, I know, darling. But that's not quite the kind of attention I need right now," she explained, her eyes searching my face, hoping to find no trace of hurt or disappointment. "Anything I can do?" I asked, a mischievous spark in my eyes. "I'll help if I can." "But honey, you're my son." "True enough, but correct me if I'm wrong. According to Webster, son is defined as a male offspring. Emphasis on the male, if you please." She turned her upper body to face me, and in doing so, the protective veil of bubbles shifted, revealing more of her graceful form. Considerable emphasis should indeed be placed on that fact if I'm interpreting the tension I sense from you correctly. It seems you've truly grown into quite a man. Would you like to show me? "You do it," I said softly, leaning closer to the tub. My arm, which had been draped over her shoulder, naturally moved lower, coming to rest near her side. A warmth spread through my hand, and judging by her quickened breathing, my touch had a similar effect on her. "Oh my," she murmured, her hand moving to the button of my shorts. "I used to do this all the time when you were a little boy." "My turn," I said calmly, as I unfastened the button. She managed the zipper with practiced ease. Gently, she took hold of my shorts and eased them down. A soft gasp escaped her lips as my growing masculinity was revealed. "Oh my," she whispered, "you've truly come into your own, son." "Do you like what you see?" I asked, a sense of pride swelling within me. "Oh yes, I do," she sighed. Then, to my surprise, she leaned forward and offered a tender, intimate kiss to the very essence of my being. My physical response was immediate, a subtle tremor that seemed to go unnoticed by her. The intensity of the moment became too powerful to contain. My hand moved lower, gently cradling her form. Her free hand covered mine, holding it in place. I applied a gentle pressure, and a soft sound of pleasure escaped her. "Come in here with me, darling," she almost demanded, her voice hoarse with rising passion as she shifted to make room. I stepped into the tub behind her, settling close, straddling her. Without hesitation, I leaned in, burying my mouth in the soft curve where her neck met her shoulder, while my hands gently caressed her. I squeezed, and she let out another soft gasp. "Oh my goodness," she whispered. "I think I just experienced a little wave of sensation." "Not to worry," I murmured against her neck. "I'm sure you have many more stored up, right?" "Thousands," she whispered back, pressing her body against mine. "Could you draw your lower legs beneath you and lift your hips slightly?" I asked softly. Without question, she complied. I guided my fervent desire along the curve of her body until we reached the threshold of profound connection. A soft sound escaped her, and our bodies met. Whether from the sheer intensity or an overwhelming longing, she welcomed me fully. A tremor ran through her, and she pressed herself against me once our connection was complete. She still held my hands firmly against her, but managed to turn her head, bringing her mouth to mine. As her tongue playfully explored, I was consumed by an overwhelming wave of sensation that coursed through my entire being. I pressed my body against hers, and amidst the shared intensity, I sensed Mom experiencing her own profound release. We remained in the hot, soapy water for a considerable time, basking in the profound peace that followed such a deep, shared intimacy. I gently caressed her beautiful form, and her hands found their way between our bodies, discovering my softened desire. With skillful, tender manipulation, she began to rekindle its spark. I welcomed her efforts wholeheartedly. After a while, her gentle ministrations had indeed reawakened my passion. I freed one hand from her embrace and began to explore the sensitive curves of her intimate regions. Together, I truly believe our combined body heat kept the bathwater at a wonderfully warm temperature. I know for a fact that the passion between us burned as brightly as any summer celebration. Mom's desire was fully reawakened, and my tender caresses had her ready for anything, or so I hoped. With her full cooperation, I gently guided her into a modified position, her hips just barely out of the water, her hands gripping the edge of the tub. I found her liquid soap and squeezed a generous amount into the curve of her body. She giggled. "That tickles," she exclaimed playfully. "Just hold on," I said, as I gently worked the gel around, preparing for deeper intimacy. I introduced 2 slick fingers, moving them with care. "Ooh," she whispered. "I like that, darling. Do it some more." I obliged, adding a 3rd finger. "Oh my," she gasped. "That certainly feels full. I've never had anything more than my doctor's finger there, but I like the way you do it better." Her breathing became noticeably heavier, and she made soft sounds of pleasure as I continued. "You're going to like this much better," I whispered in her ear, leaning forward to retrieve more liquid soap. I coated my eager masculinity with the soapy lubricant and gently guided it into her intimate space. "Oh my goodness," she exclaimed as she felt my presence entering her. "Oh, wait, oh dear," she cried softly as my manhood eased deeper. "Oh, darling," she gasped, "that feels a little intense. Perhaps we should pause. It might sting for just a moment, but then you'll truly enjoy it." "Trust me," I reassured her. I eased my presence deeper, and as I did so, I leaned against her, reaching around to gently cup her form with my soapy hands, massaging as I moved with her. I heard her whimper a couple more times, and then I felt her body begin to move against mine, responding to my rhythm. "My goodness, I feel so full. You're so substantial." She was finding a rhythm now, and I felt her press against me with each deep connection. "You're incredibly responsive this way, Mom. This will bring me to my peak faster." I moved forward again as I spoke. "Don't rush on my account," she managed between her soft gasps and murmurs. "I'm beginning to truly enjoy this, despite the initial intensity. Watch, I'll make it even better." With that, I removed one hand from her and placed it gently on her most sensitive point. I began to massage with renewed vigor. The muscles around her immediately responded to this new stimulation, in turn heightening my own arousal. I moved more enthusiastically, and so did she. There was no denying the arrival of our shared peak of sensation. We both moved with raw passion and unbridled release until the last tremor of our profound connection had subsided. After we had regained some composure, Mom gently shifted away from me and turned to face me. She kissed me passionately, yet with a loving tenderness, for a long, meaningful moment. "I suppose I'd better help you clean up a little, huh?" she said softly. "Yeah, and I still have to wash your back, don't I?" I spent that night in her bedroom, but I'll tell you about that later. Oh yeah, my old man is a fool, but I'm glad he left.